any minority, anyone that is in any way suffering or being abused. So speaking about workers, I bumped into migrants, a study, not a FIFA study, a Human Rights Watch study, one of these companies that I think is also criticizing certainly FIFA, certainly rightfully, many times, I guess. Well, that study says, basically, that because of the European migration policy, 25,000 migrants died since 2014, in 8 years. 1,200 only this year. Human beings died. So, if we take 2 steps back of this, I also wonder, but I will come back to that, why nobody asked for a compensation to be paid for the families of these migrants who die. Maybe their life is not worse the same. Where are we going? Where are we going with our way of working, guys? We have to ask this ourselves. Where is the world going? So if we go 2 steps back and we look at this issue of migration and the situation of hundreds of thousands of women and men from developing countries who would like to offer their services abroad in order to help and give a future to their families back home. Well, Qatar is actually offering them this opportunity. Hundreds of thousands of workers from developing countries come here. They earn 10 times more than what they earn in their home country. And they help their families to survive. And they do it in a legal way. We in Europe, we close our borders and we don't allow practically any worker from these countries who have obviously very low income to work legally in our countries, because we all know there are many illegal workers in our European countries, living in conditions which are also not really the best. So those who reach Europe, or those who want to go to Europe, they have to go through a very difficult journey. Only a few survive. So if Europe would really care about the destiny of these people, of these young people, well, then Europe could also do as Qatar did, create some channels, legal channels, where at least a number, a percentage of these workers could come to Europe, low revenues, but give them some work, give them some future, give them some hope. This doesn't mean that we shouldn't point at what doesn't work. Here in Qatar as well, of course, there are still things that don't work and that need to be addressed. But this moral lesson giving one-sided. It's just hypocrisy. So I wonder why nobody recognizes the progress that has been made. Since 2016, the kafala system was abolished, minimum wages were introduced, heat protection measures were taken. ILO, international unions, acknowledge that, but media don't, or some don't. It's difficult for a worker who comes to Qatar to go back home because thanks to him coming here, even in difficult situations, which were comparable to situations of European migrants in Europe a few decades ago. But thanks to that, he can make his family live in his country because he earns 10 times or even more here. So why? Why couldn't we do something like this in Europe and do something much better for many more people all over the world? So, I really don't understand, or have difficulties to understand this criticism. I think we need to invest in helping these people, of course. I will come back to that. We need to invest in education to give them a better future, to give them more hope. Speaking about the workers or their children. But I'm speaking about all of us. We should all educate ourselves. And whilst many, many things are not perfect, reform and change takes time. It took hundreds of years in our countries, in Europe, where we think we've achieved the top. I wonder if that's the case. It takes time everywhere, and the only way of obtaining results is by engaging, searching the dialogue, not by hammering, insulting. When your child does something bad at school, and you tell him you're an idiot, you're useless, and you put him in his room, what do you think his reaction will be? If you engage with him, if you speak to him, if you ask him why you did this, let's work together and you will have better grades or whatever, he will recognize that, and he will be better. I don't want to give you any lessons of life. I'm just realizing that what is going on here is profoundly, profoundly unjust. Many international organizations, ILO, ITOC, BWI, have recognized that the worker standards here are similar to those in Western Europe. To those in Western Europe, the salaries might be lower, but the worker standards, the safety and security are similar. I've never read this anywhere, except in the reports of these organizations. These are important steps. This was not the case 10 years ago. It is the case now. Let's see what happens as well in the next 10 years. And in this respect, since we speak about workers, then I will move to other topics as well. I think it will be longer than 45 minutes. But we have time the World Cup kicks off only tomorrow night. Let me tell you 3 things regarding workers. Since I was receiving there as well many, or even personal, I don't know how to call it, almost threats. There was a demand somewhere about the center or whatever, because workers don't know where to go if they have questions and if they need help. And I'm very pleased, I don't know where you have the text, do I have it here? Yes. I'm very pleased to have been having discussions with the government in Qatar and the Director General of ILO. I met him 2 days ago in Bali at the occasion of the G20. Dr. Gilbert from ILO, he was there. And I'm happy because there is a real prospect, and there are still some formalities to be carried out, of a dedicated office that would be a permanent office, ILO office, International Labour Organization office, which will be having its headquarters here in Doha. This is a real progress, because this is exactly the place where workers can go through as well their unions, who will be integrated, of course, in the ILO office, can go and seek for assistance. I believe this is a big commitment by both the Qatari government and ILO. It's not something that FIFA can influence. Qatar is a sovereign state. ILO is a UN organization. FIFA cannot tell them what they have to do, but we can engage with them. We can spend days and nights speaking with them, and we are there. There will be an ILO permanent office which will serve exactly the purpose which was asked for, to assist everyone who is here, show them their rights and remedies possible. And that is one. The second one that has been brought to us, and I want to tell you again, we do not react based on whatever pressure we receive. We act when we decide the time to act has come. So I've been speaking with many people from football, I will not mention them, or outside of football, who tell me, you know, we have to say these things in public because we have a lot of pressure from our media, but in reality, you know, we are with you, or this, or that, or the other. We are not like that. We don't react to pressure. Pressure is negative. Engagement is positive. So when we are ready, we do things. And when it comes to compensation of workers as well, you should know that there is a legal framework to cover workers' compensation. Again, we are in a sovereign country. Do you think FIFA can go to England or to the US or to Italy and tell the governments, you know what, we come and we establish a system for compensation of migrant workers in your country? already they have a lot to deal with migrant workers with or without papers who have no compensation at all. At least all workers in Qatar, because they are legally here, they have a compensation scheme. And Qatar established a workers' support and insurance fund to support compensation claims. Since 2018, this fund has paid over $350 million to workers in need. Majority of that for unpaid wages, but also for accidents, of course, of workers. Because every worker that has an accident receives a compensation by law. And depending on the gravity of the accident, the compensation can be several years of salary. And if in the last 4 years, 350 million were paid, I suspect that if in the next 4 years nothing changes, and we have the same types of unpaid wages and incidents and whatever than in the last 4 years, another 350 million will be paid, bringing us to 700 million, hypothetically, in 8 years' time. Can be more, God forbid, if something bad happens. Hopefully, will be much less, because the companies who are operating here, who don't want to pay the wages, Western companies, they start to realize that it's better for them to pay the wages or enhance the security. So we'll have less accidents and much less we'll have to pay. And this is one thing. And the second thing that I was pleased about is that the Minister of Labour himself mentioned at the European Parliament that if in the past, because we are speaking about the recent past, the last 4 years, and the future, next 4 years, if in the past there is a worker who has not received due compensation in accordance with the laws of Qatar, which are public. You can go and see them, Article 110 and following of the Qatar Labour Code. If somebody has not received it, he or his family can go to the Ministry of Labour and seek for compensation. And if you don't get it, let us know, and we will help you. Because this is due by law. It's not due because somebody asks us to do something that then will have to be managed in a way that nobody knows how, where also all unions would have been against. But that's not the end of it, because the third announcement linked with workers is with regard to the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 Legacy Fund. So we have been seeing there is a permanent office of ILO, or there will be, and we'll be back. We will be here to check, don't worry, because you will be gone. Compensation for workers who are not paid or who have accidents exists at very significant amounts. And FIFA has a legacy fund for this World Cup. Now, the amount of this legacy fund will be decided after the World Cup. It will certainly be a percentage of the revenues of the World Cup. But since so many people around the world have been speaking out on these topics, for the first time, FIFA is opening up its compensation legacy fund to anyone who wants to invest in it. We'll publish the details. Anyone who wants to invest in the FIFA World Cup 2022 Legacy Fund shall invest. And those who invest a certain amount will be part of a board that can decide where the money goes. Now, where should this money go? The two ideas that we have, we'll submit them, of course, to the Council. They should go first to education, because we believe that children, especially children in developing countries, should receive appropriate education so that they can build a better future. We signed an agreement 2 weeks ago with the state of India, where we help 25 million children in India through education. So we want to focus on education, and especially education of girls and women, because this is very important, especially in certain countries. So part of this legacy fund will go into education. And I would like to thank the Qatari authorities for accepting this, because normally FIFA legacy funds of World Cups, they go to the local football community. Here we bring it international. This is one thing, and the second element of this legacy fund is that we will jointly with ILO, with the International Labour Organization, establish a Labour Excellence Hub. We are in discussion for a memorandum of understanding with the ILO. The Director General will be coming here in the next few days. And we want to establish programs based on the experience that we made here in Qatar. I would never have thought that I have to deal with labor matters. Based on the experience we made in Qatar, we have to share through this excellent hub best practices all over the world, in particular when it comes to future hosts of FIFA tournaments and competitions. So take from our learnings, partner with the #1 partner in this area, ILO, and work to make the lives of workers all over the world a little bit better. So this is what we do in labor matters. Let me mention as well the LGBT situation. I've been speaking about this topic with the highest leadership of the country several times, not just once. They have confirmed, and I can confirm, that everyone is welcome. If you have a person here and there who says the opposite, well, that's not the opinion of the country, and it's certainly not the opinion of FIFA. This is a clear FIFA requirement. Everyone has to be welcomed. Everyone that comes to Qatar is welcome. Whatever religion, race, sexual orientation, belief she or he has, everyone is welcome. This was our requirement, and the Qatari state sticks to that requirement. Now you will tell me, yeah, but these legislations which prohibit that and whatever, you have to go to jail, I don't know what. Yes, these legislations exist in many countries in the world. These legislations existed in Switzerland when Switzerland organized the World Cup. It was in 1954, I was not born yet. So again, like for the workers, these are processes. So what do you want to do about it? You want to stay home and hammer and criticize and say how bad they are, these Arabs or these Muslims or whatever? because it's not allowed to be publicly gay? Of course, I believe it should be allowed as FIFA president. But I went through a process. I went through a process. If I ask the same question to my father, who is not here anymore, he would probably have a different answer than me. And my children will have again a different answer than me. So if somebody thinks that by just hammering and criticizing we achieve something, well, I can tell you we achieve exactly the opposite, because this will be viewed as provocation. And then if you provoke me, I react. And that's bad, because the reaction will be to be even more close now that the doors start to open. I often give the example of the vote for women. Switzerland, again, I'm Swiss, so I can allow myself to say a few things about Switzerland. You know, when women were granted the right to vote in the last Swiss canton, I tell you when, in the 90s, not the 1890s, in the 1990s. And not because the men who had the right to vote, of course, voted that yes, our women should be allowed to vote. No, because they voted no. It was the Swiss Supreme Court who forced the men of this canton to say, no, women have to have the right to vote, of course. Of course. These were the mentalities a few years ago in Europe. Let's look at ourselves in the mirror, see where we come from, and try, if we are convinced that we defend the right causes, try to convince the others by engaging. That's the only thing I ask you. The only thing I'm asking you. Engage, help, don't divide, try to unite. The world is divided enough. We are organizing a World Cup. We're not organizing a war. We organize a World Cup where people who have many problems, everyone in his or her life, want to come and enjoy. Look at the city. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's geared up. People are happy to celebrate. They were happy when the teams come. And when the teams come, they go to see the teams. And what do I read? Well, these people, they don't look like English. They shouldn't cheer for English because they look like Indians. I mean, what is that? Can somebody who looks like an Indian not cheer for England or for Spain or for Germany? You know what this is? This is racism. This is pure racism. And we have to stop that. Because everyone in the world has the right to cheer for who he wants. If I would have said what I wanted to say, it would have been the title of the... For who he wants. And this is what people want. They are genuine. They have difficult lives. Every one of us has difficult lives for whatever reasons, for different reasons. We want to have a moment on where we don't have to think about this. A moment where we can concentrate on something that we love, on football. The problems don't go away, they will stay there, don't worry, after the match. And maybe we have been able to contribute a little bit to make them a little bit better. So tolerance starts with ourselves, and we shouldn't spread aggression. We have to spread understanding. FIFA is a global football organization, as you know. We have 211 countries which are part of FIFA. 211. For me, as FIFA president, Unfortunately for some of you, it looks like I will be here for another 4 years. But fortunately for over 200 associations and 6 confederations in the world. Every association is the same. Every association is the same because we are football people. We want to be football people. We don't want to be politicians or whatever else. And football brings people together. If we could organize an event in any country of the world, in North Korea, well, I would be the first to go there. I actually went to North Korea some years ago to ask the North Koreans if they were ready to host part of a Women's World Cup together with South Korea. Well, I was not successful, obviously, but I would go another 100 times if it would help, in spite of everything, because only engagement can bring real change. So we are a global organization, and we want to remain a global organization that unites the world. And I was convinced, and I'm still convinced, even though now I don't know how optimistic I still am, that this particular World Cup will help to open the eyes of many people from the Western world to the Arab world. We are living in the same world. We have to live together. We have to understand each other. We have to understand that we are different as well, that we have different beliefs, that we have a different history, that we come from different backgrounds, but we are in the same world. We need to get along with each other, and to get along with each other, we need to know each other, and that's why you have to come here, and you have to tell what you see. And when you see something that is wrong, say it, and say also how it can be rectified, please, so that maybe we can help everyone to understand each other a little bit better. I want to tell you as well another little story about Afghanistan. Last year, when the Taliban took over again Afghanistan, the United States left, many people were in difficult situation as far as football is concerned, many female football players in particular. We wanted to see how we can help them. It was very difficult. Then, through an American friend, I got in touch with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed, who I want to thank, because it was, I remember it was already 2 a.m. I think in Switzerland, so here it must have been 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. In America it was still early, that's why we got in touch. And he immediately replied. And thanks to the help of Qatar, we have been able to rescue over 160 girls and women mainly from Afghanistan to Qatar. We did so because we were promised by many countries in our Western world that before we got them out, that they would of course welcome them. 160, not 1,600 or 16,000. My feeling is that we were promised that because they believed that we would never be able to get them out of the country. But once we got them out of the country, thanks to the help of Qatar, we brought them to Doha, and they were staying actually in one of the compounds which was built for the World Cup. All European countries and American countries, North American countries, closed their doors. Sorry, no, we cannot, no, we cannot. The only country that said, well, bring them here, because we know what it means to suffer and to run away from your country, was Albania. And my friend Edi Rama, he said, they are welcome here in Albania, where they can build a future. So Albania opened the doors. From all the countries, Albania opened the doors to the Afghani refugees who had to run away because they were playing football in Afghanistan. We still have around 400 women mainly and men from the Afghan football community that we have not yet been able to get out of Afghanistan. But if they come out, we don't know where they should go. I was speaking with the German interior minister, maybe there is an opening there. But let's see. Nobody speaks about these things. Nobody speaks about the fact that we have managed to make sure that for the first time again in history, 11,000 people will fly from Tel Aviv directly to Doha, Palestinians and Israelis together in the same airplanes. These things don't happen on their own. These things are not part of the checklist of the organizer of the World Cup. But we made these things happen because we believe we can do something for good. So, I would have many more things to say. One, maybe the alcohol question, Budweiser, let me mention that as well, since you know now the latest news. Let me say a couple of things there as well. I mean, honestly, if this is the biggest issue we have for the World Cup, I will sign immediately and go to the beach and relax until the 18th of December. Let me first assure you that every decision that is taken in this World Cup is a joint decision between Qatar and FIFA. Every decision is discussed, debated, and taken jointly. There will be, I don't know how many fan zones, 8, 10 big fan zones, over 200 places where you can buy alcohol in Qatar anyway. Over 10 fan zones where over 100,000 people can simultaneously drink alcohol. 100,000 people at any particular moment. I think personally, if for 3 hours a day you cannot drink a beer, you will survive, especially because actually the same rules apply in France or in Spain or in Portugal or in Scotland, where no beer is allowed in stadiums. Now here it seems to become a big thing because it's a Muslim country, or I don't know why, I don't know why. We tried, and that's why, that's the one I give you, of course, the late change of policy, because we tried until the end to see whether it was possible. But one thing is to have the plans and the designs. Another thing is when you start putting it in place, you look at the flows of the people, you look at their safety in going in and going out, going to attend different matches. This is something new. This World Cup is new in that respect, because in any other World Cup, you have only one match in one given city, which usually is 3 times the size, at least the smallest one, of Doha. Here we have 4 matches the same day, so we have to make sure that people can go in and go out, and this whole flows function in the right way. And that's why we had to take the decision about the beer. But having said that, because I was also hearing this is very bad and whatever for Budweiser and so on. Budweiser is a great partner of FIFA since a few decades already. And a few weeks ago, we have been shaking hands with their chairman, CEO, of course, to continue our partnership as well until 2026. And partners, and we were discussing, of course, often these last few days, partners are partners in good and bad times, in difficult and easy times. And when times are a little bit more tense, then the partnership gets even stronger. So I'm very grateful to Budweiser in this respect and to Michel for the collaboration we had in the last years, in the last couple of weeks when we decided the future, and now when we make sure that Bud Zero will be sold in the stadiums and Budweiser in plenty of places in the whole city. I think we can move then as well to the World Cup, because I was also, and I finished then, sorry. Brian's already reading the news of the day. He's getting bored.
That's not true, by the way.
But I finish, don't worry. I was told that some were saying, sponsors jump out of FIFA, people will switch off their TV, they will not watch the World Cup, because it's a big scandal. Nobody will come anyway to Qatar because it's in winter and because this and that and the other, and it's not a safe country or I don't know what. When it comes to the commercial success, we have been selling media rights for this World Cup, which is shorter than any other World Cup, as you know, where we have 4 games a day, never happens. So we sold the rights for around 200 million more than the last World Cup. We sold sponsorship rights for also around 200 million more than the last World Cup. And as far as ticketing and hospitality rights are concerned, we are at almost 200 to 300 million more than the last World Cup. So all in all, this World Cup will generate for FIFA around, I don't know, 600-700 million more than another World Cup. What the global figure of revenues of FIFA will be in the last, or in this 4-year cycle, I will keep it for tomorrow for the summit to announce it to the associations because it's good news for them. But the point I want to make here is that if so many people around the world are investing so much money in the World Cup in Qatar, they invest because they believe in FIFA. They saw what FIFA has done to clean up the organization, to make progress in the football areas and also on the social field. And also because they trust Qatar. They know that they can come here, they know they can enjoy, they can celebrate, and that they can expect a great World Cup. So either all these people are stupid, or somebody of those who say that nobody will watch this and nobody cares about this World Cup might be a little bit wrong, as some of the polls in some elections in some countries were wrong as well in the last years. Having said that, I hope, I remember at the last World Cup I was always getting angry because at every press conference, the first 45 minutes I had to deal with doping matters of the Winter Olympic Games and skeleton and I don't know what, which had nothing to do with football and the World Cup. Here I have to deal with other topics. It's sad that we cannot focus on football. I hope that I have given you enough information to write everything you want about these topics. If you need to criticize somebody, don't criticize the players. Don't put pressure on the players. Don't put pressure on the coaches. Let them concentrate on football. Let them concentrate on making their fans happy. You want to criticize someone? Come to me. Criticize me. Here I am. You can crucify me. I'm here for that. Don't criticize Qatar. Don't criticize the players. Don't criticize anyone. Criticize FIFA. Criticize me if you want, because I'm responsible for everything. But let the people enjoy this World Cup. let the people enjoy this World Cup. It comes once every 4 years. How many occasions do we have to unite the world? How many? Or do we want to continue to divide? Do we want to continue to spit on the others just because they look different or they feel different? We defend human rights. We do it our way. We obtain results. We obtain that women had access in stadiums in Iran. We obtained that the Women's League was created in Sudan. We obtain results. It's a step-by-step process. Help us in doing more. Don't divide, don't split. Let's concentrate on football. We have 32 great teams, 33 with Team 1, the referees. We have beautiful stadiums. We have a city that wants to welcome the world. Let's please celebrate and hope that we can give some smiles to some people around the world. And now the questions are open.
Thanks very much indeed, Gianni. So time now to take some of your questions. If you could please raise your hand, and the team will try to do what they can to get around as many as possible. Okay, so if we could go please to row 4, Dan Rowan, BBC.
Thanks, Brian. Mr. President, just judging by social media, your comments that you today feel gay has caused some surprise, I think it's fair to say, to many in the gay community. Because, of course, what they're saying is that if you really were gay, you wouldn't be able to say that publicly, because if you did, you would be admitting to effectively illegality. Do you understand that opinion? And you accuse some in the West, the critics, of being hypocritical. Isn't it hypocritical to, on the one hand, say that FIFA stands for equality and non-discrimination, while at the same time supporting an event in a country which has discriminatory laws?
If we were to exclude all the countries who have discriminatory laws or other human rights problems, who are playing football only, maybe you and me. Maybe. Because I don't know. I know that me, I don't discriminate, but you, I don't know. I hope not. So I think it is real to bring, that football brings people together and unites the world. I think we have to do that. And I think we have to welcome everybody in Qatar. Gay people are welcome in Qatar. And we need to engage. We don't need to provoke. We need to engage. We need to discuss how many gay people were prosecuted in Europe. Sorry. It was a process. We went through a process. We seem to forget. We seem to forget. But we need to see what experience we made, and we don't have to take for granted that the country which did not have the same chance of development because of the climate, for example, that we had in Europe, is and went through the same experiences than we have. So I really believe that we have to have our beliefs, and we have to engage, and we have to explain. And I think provocation is the wrong way. I mean, I might be right, I might be wrong, I don't know. I try to obtain the results I obtain by, again, by engaging. I went, now we cannot speak about Iran because of the terrible situation in Iran, which is very bad, of course. But there are 80 million people in Iran. Are they all bad? I don't think so. I don't think so. I went several times to Iran to convince then President Rouhani to give access to the stadiums to women. We obtained it after years of discussion, after years that I was hammered by everyone. How can you go to a country which doesn't allow women into a stadium? Now it's even worse what's happening, of course. And women into stadium is one little sign that we can do. FIFA is not the world, we are not the United Nations, we're not the world police, we're not, I don't know, the blue helmets. The only weapon that we have is this, is the ball. And we have to try with this to engage, to explain, and to take results. And if, as a result of our actions, I have to take some critics, or even a lot of critics, but the consequence is that a few 100,000 workers in Qatar, for example, or a few thousand or 100,000 women in Iran are a little bit happier because they have higher salaries or because they can go to watch a football game, which is their passion. I take every critic on me.
Okay, next question. We got to the second row from the back, on the left there. On the left. Gentleman in the whites. Thank you.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président.
Bonjour.
Because my English is not so good, so I prefer to ask you in French language, and you can ask in French. Monsieur le Président, vous avez fait dernièrement une longue tournée entre Bali et Doha. Quels étaient les résultats des conventions que vous avez réalisées? Deuxième question, vous avez parlé que cette Coupe du Monde 2022 va laisser un héritage. Quel est cet héritage? Vous pouvez donner un peu de plus pour clarifier la situation. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. J'étais effectivement à Bali il y a quelques jours pour adresser, j'avais été invité par le président de la session du G20, le président de l'Indonésie, et j'ai pu parler aux 20 chefs d'État et gouvernement lors de leur sommet. Mon message, c'était un message simple sur le football, sur ce que le football signifie pour leur pays et dans le monde, d'un point de vue économique, parce que le G20, c'est une organisation économique à la base, mais aussi d'un point de vue social. Et évidemment, puisque tous les grands décideurs du monde étaient réunis autour d'une même table, j'ai réitéré mon appel pour la paix, ou pour au moins un cessez-le-feu, ou quelque chose, un signe d'un couloir humanitaire ou quelque chose pour commencer un dialogue entre la Russie et l'Ukraine avec le soutien de tous les États, évidemment, du G20. Parce que la réalité, c'est que des gens meurent. Des gens meurent. Des vies humaines sont éteintes et j'estime que tous les leaders du monde et nous tous, on devrait faire tout ce qu'on peut dans nos propres moyens pour voir si cette situation peut s'améliorer. Quels sont les résultats? On en discute, il y a des discussions qui sont en cours. Je ne sais pas, il y a peut-être 0,1% de chance que quelque chose de positif puisse se passer. Mais même si rien ne se passe, on va continuer à insister. La deuxième question, c'était... Je ne me souviens plus. I don't remember the second question.
If you could just pick up, please.
L'héritage, exactement. L'héritage de cette Coupe du Monde. Mais cette Coupe du Monde aura beaucoup d'héritage. Disons, beaucoup de choses ont été faites déjà. Évidemment, les stades, le pays, métro et tout ça. Environnement. Mais aussi un héritage, je dirais, culturel dans la mesure où le monde connaîtra le monde arabe et vice-versa. Moi, j'y crois beaucoup. J'y crois beaucoup. Les gens qui viennent avec des idées préconçues pour la première fois au Moyen-Orient, ils verront que voilà, c'est des êtres humains comme tous les autres. Et en ce qui concerne l'héritage sur ces sujets, on a déjà vu les travailleurs qui ont de meilleures conditions et dans le futur encore meilleures. on a vu les différentes pas qui ont été prises. Le fait que Palestiniens et Israéliens puissent venir ensemble dans ce pays, puis évidemment, c'est pendant la Coupe du Monde, mais une fois que vous ouvrez la porte, après peut-être un petit peu, elle pourra rester ouverte. Et je crois que sur tous ces sujets des droits de l'homme, on va avancer. En plus, la FIFA va créer son propre Legacy Fund dédié à cette Coupe du Monde pour faire en sorte que des enfants puissent avoir une meilleure éducation dans le monde, dans des pays en voie de développement, ainsi que pour ce qui concerne les conditions des travailleurs, qu'on puisse vraiment exporter dans tous les pays des best practices, des bonnes pratiques du droit du travail, avec notre partenaire ILO, Organisation internationale du travail.
Merci. Rob Harris, Sky.
Hi, Rob Harris from Sky News. Just so you know, on social media, there are a lot of concerns about the tone of your speech just then, seemingly that you are dismissing serious rights concerns. What would you say to those fans that are concerned about your defence of a non-democratic nation? And also, despite all the assurances you had on alcohol, you were ordered by Qatar to ban the sale for fans. On larger matters, fans are asking, how can Qatar's word now be trusted on things like LGBT rights and migrant worker rights, particularly after this World Cup? A day before the tournament kicks off, do you feel in control of this World Cup?
I feel 200% in control of this World Cup, absolutely. Again, every decision is taken in partnership with the Qatar government. We not only establish a joint venture on the paper, but we live it as well. This World Cup is new for many of us because it is for the first time that every team is in the same place at the same time. This brings a lot of threats or challenges rather than threats that were not known before, right? 8 stadiums in 50 kilometers, a lot of challenges. Some fans are here, others are there, they have to go there. At the same time, those who are there and there have to go here. So it is a complicated logistical machine that has been put in place. And again, when you do the paperwork, everything looks, nice and easy. You have nice drawings, and you put this here and this tent there and this shop here. But maybe there is a reason why in France or in Spain or in Scotland alcohol is banned from stadiums. Maybe they are more intelligent than us, having thought that maybe we should be doing that. So I think it's never too late to change, and maybe we'll have to do other changes in between on other topics. I don't know. But when it comes to the security of people, if you spoke about LGBT, everyone's security is granted from the highest level of the country, and this is the guarantee that we give, and we stick to it.
Okay, next question. Over to this side, please. Third row up, please. The lady at the third row up in the black top. Thank you.
Señor Infantino, mi nombre es Carol Guerrero, trabajo para W Radio de Colombia y le quisiera preguntar sobre el futuro de los mundiales. Esta es la última Copa del Mundo con 32 equipos, luego serán de 48. ¿Qué podemos esperar de esos torneos, de esas Copas del Mundo? Gracias.
Sí, es la última con 32 equipos, la próxima va a ser con 48 en Norteamérica. Creo que va a ser una Copa del Mundo verdaderamente excepcional desde el punto de vista futbolístico, porque Por primera vez todos los equipos están concentrados en el mismo sitio, en el mismo hotel durante toda la competición. Los únicos viajes que tienen que hacer son en coche de un par de minutos para ir a entrenarse o para ir a jugar y luego pueden volver sin tener que volar en aviones durante horas durante la noche y luego recuperar y todo. La temperatura, que hoy todavía es un poquito caliente, pero durante el día va a ser perfecta en los próximos días. Los jugadores no llegan a un mundial al final de las temporadas. Sabemos que el 75% de los jugadores juegan en Europa y cuando juegas el mundial en junio y julio, sobre todo los mejores jugadores que juegan la Champions y las ligas mayores, bueno, llegan muy cansados, la verdad, al mundial. Entonces, desde el punto de vista técnico, mundial fenomenal, los estadios son increíbles, así creados por el mundial y creo que vamos a ver el mejor mundial de la historia.
Gracias. Okay, next question. Second row, front center. Steve Scott, ITV News.
Thank you. Mr. President, you wrote recently to competing nations asking them to stop talking politics and only talk football. Then soon after that, you went to the G20 to do just that, talk politics. You've talked politics today, for example, European immigration policy. Isn't it hypocritical of you to try and silence the associations when you've been talking about engagement? It's a word you've used several times today.
I think if there is somebody who doesn't silence anybody, it's the new FIFA. It's FIFA. We don't silence anybody. Everyone can speak and say whatever they want. And if you read the letter carefully, I didn't say what you said, I would have said. But it's true that the main message is let's concentrate on football. We are a football organization to start with. And it's not right to misuse football for other purposes. We fight for that. We fight for human rights. We have results in our fights for human rights, many more results than many others, and these things have to be said as well. That's the hypocrisy is on the other side. When you pretend to have a moral and give moral lessons to others, but in reality your situation is maybe not that good either. So, without the pressure of the World Cup, I believe that the changes which would have happened in Qatar would maybe not have happened, or not at least at that speed. Obviously we need to put pressure. Obviously we need to try to make things become better. We will engage, we'll continue to engage with our associations all over the world. And there are associations who think white and others who think black. Which ones are better? Which cause is better? We cannot take sides. We have to defend causes which are international, which are global, which everyone can feel to be part of it, because otherwise we start excluding some, because they don't think like us. And there are causes where we can bring everyone together, and that's what we have to try to do.
Okay, next question, the lady just behind Steve, on the third row.
Thank you, Fatin from NBC. Mr. Infantino, in your opinion, what makes this World Cup edition different from the previous ones? Thank you.
Well, on the football side, definitely that, as I was saying before, it will be a very compact World Cup. No travels for the teams. Ideal conditions, temperatures, venues, hotels, stadiums. Everything is done for them to feel good and to play Good. It's also the first time that fans from all countries are coming to the same place for the whole tournament. This is unique. When we say football unites the world, this is exactly what it is. Because normally, you would go, you have only the fans of two countries in one city. Then the fan of one country go to one city, another one, and the fans of the other to the other city. And those who were in that city, they go to the first city. So they never cross each other, except maybe on the trains sometimes. Here they will be all together. All together. 1.5, I don't know how many, million people, 2 million people in the streets being together. I think this will be a strong, strong message. I'm convinced that everything will happen in full safety for everyone and security. And I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, the city looks beautiful as well.
Okay, next question over here. The gentleman in the turquoise top, fourth row.
Good morning, Mr. President. I am Rodrigo Oliveira, Radio Gaúcha from Brazil. Recently, the former FIFA president, Joseph Blatter, said that it was a mistake to select Qatar to host the World Cup. How do you react to that? And what would you say to all football fans around the world that are not so excited to watch and to follow this World Cup because of all controversies involving Qatar and human rights? What would be your message to these people? Thank you.
Well, on the first question, I have nothing to answer because I was not there. At that time, I was even known as one of the biggest FIFA critics. So I'm FIFA president since 2016. And since 2016, we've made tangible changes. And from now on, in all bidding requirements and all bidding documents for the future, we have clear human rights requirements which are enshrined in the bidding process. To the fans who don't want to watch the World Cup, well, don't watch it. What do you want me to tell them? I'm convinced they will. It's like, you know, it's like in these polls that we've seen very recently, you know, where some candidates win by I don't know which margin because people, they just, you know, it's not nice today in some countries. If you are us, it's not nice to say I watch the World Cup because it's in Qatar, look, this bad country, and FIFA, this gang, whatever. So publicly they will say I don't watch it. Privately they go home, and of course they watch it, because when you're a football fan, there is nothing bigger than the World Cup. Nothing bigger than the World Cup. We'll have 5 billion people watching it. And I can just say to all of them, those who watch it officially and those who watch it hidden, that they will see the best football ever, the biggest emotions ever, and they will enjoy it in a way that they've never enjoyed the World Cup.
Okay, next question, Tariq Panja, New York Times.
Hi, Gianni. Quite an extraordinary 1-hour monologue there. You seem to be almost furious with Europe from what you said, like 3,000 years of apologies, and you live here now in Qatar. I'm just interested in how you came to end up living here and hearing your words about Europe. Do you plan to go back there? Is this now home for you? Will you stay in the region after the World Cup? Given your criticisms, is the way of life probably better here for you personally?
I don't criticize Europe. I am European. I live in Switzerland. I don't live in Qatar. I spend a lot of time in Qatar, but I spend a lot of time in many parts of the world. In the next 4 years, I think I will spend a lot of time in your part of the world as well, in the United States in particular, a little bit in Mexico and a little bit in Canada as well, which are 3 beautiful countries. I'm a citizen of the world, and I just have the feeling, because I am European, because I am Swiss, I can speak about Switzerland. Because I'm Italian, I can speak about Italy. Because I'm European, I can speak about Europe. I feel that. Because I have a personal life where I've personally lived many of these things, but also I'm the best example in that respect, because out of this you come out in a very positive way. Europe is a great hub of multicultural and multinational tolerance. But also in Europe there are things that are not good, right? So, we should look at ourselves always first before criticizing others. Then we criticize others, understanding where we come from, what road we had to make, and maybe help them make the same road that we made if we are convinced that our road is the best, right? So, I will continue to live in Switzerland, and I will continue to spend time in Qatar and in UAE and in India and in America, much more probably.
Okay, next question, Graham Dunbar, AP.
Hi, Graham Dunbar from the Associated Press. Good afternoon, thank you. Quickly, just to pick up on one thing you said about shaking hands with the Budweiser chairman or CEO recently, that kind of implied that the deal is done to renew for 2026. I want to check if that's the case and whether maybe the price has to change now in the light of what's happened. But also, the last minute changes here. I mean, Brazil and South Africa had a culture of getting things done at the last minute, but things weren't changed at the last minute. Fan logistics didn't change. Sponsors weren't let down. FIFA even got the hotels they were expecting. What has been so particular about this World Cup and the process of making decisions that so many things have had to change at the last minute?
Which things have changed in the last minute?
The dates of the tournament after all the publicity was printed up and fans had bought their change of the dates of the tournament after all the publicity was printed and the fans had bought their flights, changes to the arrangements for the sponsor after they've shipped all their product to be here, sort of even not giving the European teams an answer on the armbands until the last minute, just till today, just less 48 hours before they're playing. It just seems to be in a process of last-minute decision-making, which wasn't a factor in Brazil or South Africa, but is here.
It wasn't a factor maybe in some other World Cups because things were not finished. I mean, I remember going to some stadiums which were not, so there's no last-minute change because first you need to finish and then you can change, right? I don't agree with your assessment of last-minute change. I think whenever we take a decision, we go through a process. We go through a deep and detailed process, assessing everything, the pros, the cons, discussing with everyone, trying as much as possible to bring everyone on board. And sometimes we manage it quicker, sometimes we don't manage it as quick as that. The world is not the easiest place, and we are not at FIFA a dictatorship where the FIFA president can simply dictate what he wants and everyone has to follow. We want, again, it's the same as for everything else I was speaking in that boring 1 hour, as it was said before. It's about engaging and finding good compromises. And if the good compromise is found one day before, well, then it's good. It's good. So I don't think anyone has gotten a damage of the fact that the World Cup opening was moved one day ahead. I think everyone is happy. We'll have a celebration, an opening celebration that the competition like the World Cups deserves, I think. Could it have been done before? Yes, certainly. But, it's never too late to do the right thing. Budweiser? Sorry? The question on Budweiser. The question on Budweiser. No, on Budweiser, I mean, as I said, we are partners for some decades, and we look forward to partner as well for the future. We agreed that already a few weeks ago, and I think this particular situation has brought us even closer together.
Okay, next question, Julia at La Stampa.
Buongiorno. What will happen if someone...
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. What will happen if someone wear an armband with a rainbow color? And the second question is, with the new bidding regulation, a country with a law on gay people as the one that has Qatar could apply? Thanks.
On the second question, yes. A country with laws like Qatar can, of course, apply because the World Cup is open to all the countries in the world. However, because of the requirements which we put in place already for the World Cup 2026 and the Women's World Cup 2023 bidding processes, which are transparent, open, professional, this will be an element, a criterion that will be taken into account in the assessment of that particular country, and this is in line with the United Nations guidelines in this respect. When it comes to the armband, well, we have clear regulations about the armbands. They are provided by FIFA. We have and engage in campaigns on different topics, campaigns which are universal, and because FIFA is a universal organization, we need to find topics that everyone can comply with, or can adhere to, not comply with, adhere to. This is, I think, an important element for us because the field of play, and even more so the field of play of the World Cup, where the world is watching, should really be about football and about global, as I say, global causes. Voilà.
Okay, next question. Second row front, Kavi. As you want. Second row, Kavi.
Hi, Gianni. You started your speech today by saying that today you feel like a Qatari, you feel like an Arab, you feel gay. You didn't say that you feel like a woman. Now,
I forgot. I feel like a woman.
You've referred a few times.
Sorry. I have 4 daughters. You're right. I'm sorry. I feel like a woman.
You've referred a few times today to the situation in Iran.
Yeah.
And I think you're misrepresenting the situation in Iran. Since you visited Iran, the situation has become much worse.
Yes.
Women effectively not allowed inside football stadiums. Nobody is allowed inside football stadiums in Iran at the moment.
Yeah.
Yet Iran are playing in the World Cup. Now, your own laws, you could apply them. FIFA Statute Article 4 says that all discrimination is banned, including gender discrimination. So would you expect England on Monday to play against a team whose rulers, for instance, banned black people from stadiums or LGBTQ plus people from stadiums? Why are you expecting England to play against a country whose regime bans women from stadiums?
Because it's not two regimes playing against each other. It's not two ideologies playing against each other. It's two football teams playing against each other. It's football. It's football. If we don't have at least football to bring us together, if we listen to you all who are criticizing, who just want to divide, which world are we going to? You want another world war? Okay, go ahead. Without me. Without me. We have to have excuses to bring people together. And if we could go with a tournament to Iran, we should go with a tournament to Iran because maybe that would change something. Of course, we will need certain guarantees, but the fact that they can play in a tournament, in a football tournament together. In Iran, there are 80 million people living. You think they are all bad? Do you think they are all bad? Do you think they are all monsters? I don't think so. There are many things that are bad. I don't know how many people live in England. How many people live in England?
60 million.
60 million. Are they all good? Probably 99.99%, but maybe there is a 0.1% not so good there as well. So do we have to exclude everyone because somebody is not good or doesn't say the right thing? No. We will fight and fight and fight to bring people together. And the more we can do that, the better it will be, because nobody else is doing that in this world. Nobody else is doing that.
Okay, we'll just take a last question. If we could go over here, please. Second row in the blue shirt.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ici Gafar Darawan pour la chaîne Coursat News de Kurdistan d'Irak. Ma question, la dernière, c'est ce Coupe du Monde, la dernière Coupe du Monde compétant 32 équipes. La prochaine de Coupe du Monde complétera 48 équipes. Dans quelle mesure vous pensez utile au football? Je vous remercie.
Dans quelle mesure?
Dans quelle mesure vous pensez cet échange si utile pour le progrès du football?
C'est très utile pour le progrès du football parce que ce qu'on vient de discuter tout à l'heure, ça va unir encore plus d'équipes, ça va unir encore plus de pays, plus de nations, plus de supporters. L'Irak, dont vous venez, si j'ai bien compris, pourra se qualifier pour la Coupe du Monde. Vous allez faire une grande joie pour tout le peuple irakien et vous allez montrer au monde ce que c'est l'Irak. Et vous allez montrer au monde que l'Irak, ce n'est pas un pays terrible où il y a des choses terribles qui se passent, rempli de gens terribles, mais que l'Irak, c'est un pays où il y a des femmes et des hommes qui vivent et qui aiment le football et qui peuvent vivre avec les autres aussi. Donc je pense que Coupe du Monde à 48, ça va être encore plus important qu'une Coupe du Monde à 32 pour vraiment amener les peuples ensemble et trouver des occasions de nous unir. Voilà.
Okay, last question in extra time. Third from the back row, please, gentleman in the baseball cap.
Thank you. I'm Colin Sokinyo from Soccer 25 East. First of all, President, I want to congratulations on going into the next FIFA election unopposed.
Thank you.
We are seeing like 200 countries have endorsed your candidature, about 50 out of 55 in Europe.
A bit more.
Does this really...
A bit more.
Yeah?
Yeah, a bit more.
Does it surprise you and getting this kind of massive support? And what do you intend to do with this support going into the next term? Thank you.
I was very honored, I was very humbled to get such a big support. Surprised, not really, because I'm in regular contact with the federations all over the world. We are doing a lot for football all over the world, also in Europe. And of course, you know, we don't agree on every project that we have, but that's normal, you know. We don't have just to agree. We can discuss, we can debate, and then we can find joint common ways ahead. So with this huge support that I have to start the next mandate, I will certainly use it to really make football truly global, to get the Europeans as well to work in the rest of the world, for the rest of the world, because if the rest of the world grows, European football grows as well, so it will be a win-win situation. And I think that together, that's the most important, you know, this unity will make really the big difference.
Okay, I think we are running out of time, but just before we end, I just want to say something and use this platform, if I may. I've seen a lot of criticism of Gianni Infantino since I've joined FIFA, in particular from the LGBTQI community. I am sitting here in a privileged position on a global stage as a gay man here in Qatar. We have received assurances that everybody is welcome, and I believe that everybody will be welcome in this World Cup. Just because Gianni Infantino is not gay does not mean that he doesn't care. He does care. You see the public side, I see the private side, and we have spoken on a number of occasions about this. I thought long and hard about whether to mention this in this news conference. This, after all, is a news conference for the FIFA president, but I do feel strongly about it. We care at FIFA about everyone. We are an inclusive organisation. I have a number of gay colleagues. So sitting here, I'm fully aware of the debate, and I fully respect everyone's right and everyone's opinions to think differently. I get it. But I also know what we stand for. And when he says that we are inclusive, he means it. I just wanted to make that point.
You made the news of the day?
No. Anyway, that concludes the press conference. Any follow-ups, please, media@fifa.org, and enjoy the tournament. Thank you.